Welcome to episode 2 of Breaking the Build. We're actually doing this a second time. Our first episode went out and people listened to it. We got feedback, both good and bad. Like hearing the comments, so we're coming back for a second round. My name's James. This is Tim, and he came up with our topics for today. Why don't you kick it off?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think these are good. These are bouncing around, and I don't know if they're as relevant, but I think they're relevant, culturally relevant. So
We're not trying to be relevant. We're trying to have a good time.
We're trying to be irrelevant and succeeding. Awesome. So yeah, I think the first one we were talking about is Google, and I guess Google's sort of the Kleenex of search, right? So
Yep.
is Google itself worse now than it was in the past? Is it I think a lot of people have been frustrated with not only the results of itself of having a ton of stuff, but the actual search results themselves. Go through some quick facts. It was founded in 1998. So Google, again, I believe millennial, on the cusp. Not quite JavaScript, but there. This was the shocking one for me. They own over 90% of the overall search market worldwide. So when I say it's the Kleenex of search, I don't know what Bing's fighting for. And so is it actually getting worse? Is it just us? What's going on with the Google search results? So I'll give you your hot take.
I mean, first off, you mentioned that it's the Kleenex, and I do remember Bing Goes the Internet, where Bing was trying to make a play so that we would stop Googling things and just search it. That did not take off, but it is a nice throwback, a little reminiscing. I mean, there's two sides of this coin, right? There's one which is marketing and sales ruins everything, and they've slowly degraded Google by adding more and more ads and trying to suck more and more money out of your wallet. So that's one. But then there's this flip side that maybe you want to talk about, which is Google serves a very different purpose than it did back in 1998. When it first launched, the less time you spent on Google, that means the better job it did, because its whole goal was to get you from your start page to some other part of the internet. And that is no longer what it's trying to do. Now Google is the destination, whether it's AI or quick answers or whatever other info it provides without taking you to another site. So I guess the question is, are we talking about how advertising ruined it, or how its new purpose isn't as great as its original one was?
I mean, I think we don't have to say advertising ruined it, because I mean, Google has had ads for quite a while. I think, to your point of Ask Jeeves and Yahoo and Web Rings and Alta Vista and all that way. It was hard to find stuff on the internet back in the day. I think I was telling you, it was my 5th or 6th grade science project, is it faster to find something using Google or the library? And of the 3 tests, 2 of them were completed faster, or not Google, the internet. So if I use the internet, would it be faster? And 2 of the 3 was faster to use the library than the internet because of how long it took to try to find the information on there, which is mind-blowing now with digital assistants being able to just be here's a random thing I want to know, and it answers you. But yeah.
Did you find all 3? Was there a point where it was Google failed? This information's not on the internet, so you're stuck with the library, or was it just faster to go to the library?
Actually, I believe this was pre-Google that I did this science experiment. Okay. So I am ancient. I had to explain to my daughter once that I existed in a world where there was no Google. But it was more or less the internet one was something that was very generic. I don't even know if I could find that paper, but it was very what's the weather today type of thing. And that was faster. Yeah. But the more detail you needed, something around what kind of light bulb did Thomas Edison, invent, or something weird like that. It just kind of fell apart because they just didn't have the search capabilities we're used to. So you go to a library and pull like a whole, they have like shelves of encyclopedias and you just look it up and there you go. So it was slower for sure in terms of finding things. Then Google came around and it was like mind blowing because it was search for the internet and it worked for the most part.
Accounting for time to and from the library, because it reminds me of that old analysis that they did that, giving a jump drive to a carrier pigeon is sometimes faster than trying to upload your files to the cloud. So I'm just wondering, are you accounting for time it took to get there, or are we just talking about actual searching time?
I believe it was factored in, but I also lived fairly close to the library. So, I mean, like yes.
Yeah, young Tim was comprehensive. I like it.
Yeah. I do remember. I did well on that paper. It was my second science experiment was like what stuff burned the fastest, which was just, I wanted to light things on fire. Not as comprehensive. Yeah. But yeah, I think it was just wild. One of the results, it took 27 minutes to find some piece of information, just trying to click through. And like I said, it was, if you don't know a world without Google, like without that type of search, it was hard.
Yeah, and there was a time where you had to go to page 2 and 3 and 4 of the results to actually find what you were looking for. It actually took time to scroll through the sites and figure out what was there that was useful. It's very different.
I mean, do you remember Yahoo they had categories for the internet? Like you went to their homepage and it was like, what category of the internet would you like to go to? And you're like, oh, automotive. And you just click the automotive and it would have a bunch of automotive websites for you. Like,
I mean, people didn't know what to use the internet for. So that was kind of priming of, here are things that might be interesting.
Yeah.
So I give them credit. It was, before search was big, they needed to point you in the right direction, figure out your hobbies.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's my hot take is that I think like part of the problem Google has or any search has is that there's too much shit on the internet. Like it's a volume problem. Like back then you could have a category that's automotive and there's like, here's the 400 automotive sites on the internet. And now you type in automotive and it's like, there's 4 bajillion things that this could like,
so many pages. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that just makes it wild. It's almost like, how you accumulate like tabs sometimes on your browser and you just get so many and then it crashes and you lose them all. But like you're freed in a sense, like you're disappointed. You're disappointed because you're like, no, my hopes and ambitions of all those things I was going to do are now gone. And I don't know any of them.
But there's now history, restore previous sessions. So you can get them all right back and jump right back into it.
That is the universe doing for me what I cannot do for myself is what that is, James. And to be honest with you, maybe we just need to do that with the internet. Like have the tabs crash out. And then if the stuff is important, it'll come back.
Shut down all of the servers and the ones that are important, they'll come back. Yeah.
Set a date.
I feel like they're kind of doing that. They switched to their authority score. So really now the top search is always, Reddit, Amazon. There's only a few big players that make it to the top of the results anyway. So you're just killing that long tail and saying, screw it.
I mean, it's not unusual for me. And for the meme on the internet of just adding Reddit onto the end of your post. If you want actual non-SEO spam trash, you're like, no, I want to know what people think about this. I just add Reddit at the end and I can get like an actual result versus, I was trying to figure something out, like the best something, and result. I mean,
that goes back to marketing ruins everything, because you used to get great sites that someone crafted and spent time on and was passionate about the topic. And now you have experts who are like, how can I make it to page 1 of the results? What do I have to do to get that keyword? And they're not very good pages. They don't come with that same personality that they used to.
Well, they're usually like sponsored by the company. Like you're asking, you're like, oh, what's the best, what's the top rated lawnmower? And like the number 1 top rated lawnmower site is like on honda.com. And you're like, this is probably going to be biased.
Yeah. Cause it costs a lot of money to do that amount of SEO.
Yeah.
backlinking and analysis and optimization. So yeah, only the people with the money can actually get there. That's why you have to jump to the Reddit results, because that's going to give you something more organic than the organic results.
Yeah, I mean, and the flip side of that though is it's like the Reddit ones are all anecdotal, where they're like, what's the best? And some guy's like, I love Honda lawnmowers, and another guy's like, a Honda lawnmower killed my father, and you're just like, okay, well, this is. I'm just trying. I'm looking for something a little more objective than like I love it and it murdered my family. Is there a middle ground of like somebody that's like, hey, Consumer Reports, but I mean, they're surfacing, and I think that was the other piece too with Google is, I don't really want a search result for when the pharmacy closes. I want to like, when does the pharmacy close? I want it to just be like 7. I don't want a page of results about like pharmacies and closing hours. Just tell me the answer. And I think to your point, like that's how it's kind of changed a bit too.
Yeah, it's changed drastically. They definitely want it to be a destination, not just a portal. That's why they're pushing so heavily on the AI summaries, which I've definitely seen them with major mistakes that I then have to go and figure out, which is a problem because AI is great if you know what you're expecting, but when you're asking a question and there's a chance for hallucination, it's definitely problematic. But I said I go back to the marketing ruins everything, and at least Google controls it and tries to combat it. And I think that they've been successful. I look at things like email, which is an amazing protocol. And now, what is it, like 90% of emails going out are all just spam. And they're just trying to, fish for information or get you to, install some type of malware. And there's nobody really controlling that space. I mean, there's lots of organizations and there's lots of help in spam filters, but at the end of the day, it's distributed. Google can at least control what happens on their front page. So I think that's where the authority scores and the advertising comes in, because they're like, if you have the money, we know you're somewhat legitimate and we'll put you at the top. That's my hot take. You're really paying to play. There's no such thing as organic anymore.
Yeah. Everybody knows that if you are willing to spend money, you are a legitimate business. There's spam con artists, those guys, they're like, I don't want to invest in this. There's no payback or ROI on conning people out of money at all.
I mean, unfortunately there is, so maybe my theory is flawed, but
I mean, I think the funniest part, and I think this lends credits to, like, this is like why we just need to reboot the internet, is some of the Gemini results. Like you look at the source and it's from an article like 2005, and it's trying to source it from lots of things. Change in 20 years, and I know that they're probably trying to figure out the weights and measures of it, but you're like, a medical breakthrough 20 years ago is not really a breakthrough as much anymore, and it's good to have that history and analysis, but like, I don't know, it just seems like we've collected so much, it's become so hard to find anything. And so to your point, it's like, what do you do when you're trying to sort through what is an unbelievable amount of data and present the 10 best results?
And how do you program something to understand when historical content and information is still valuable? Because if you're talking about Shakespeare or Romeo and Juliet, everything is still valuable, whether it's 20 years old or today. But as you said, medical breakthroughs, technology, or other fast-moving places, you have to throw it away and start over. So how do you write something that can decide what's actually useful to the user? Smarter people than me trying to figure it out, which is good, but clearly there are a lot of mistakes being made as well.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope that Google and its scrappy startup budget can help solve that.
Scrappy startup budget.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard the head of Cloudflare talking about that, and that, they're trying to stop the AI bots from just crawling everyone's pages because it's costing money, and they want to put controls in that says, will you allow it or not? And Google screwed all of that up because Google already crawls the entire internet, right? They have more data than anyone else. They already go through every single page, and they're using the same crawlers. So you can't kick out Gemini without also kicking out all of Google, which you know nobody wants to do. Everyone's like, yes, please Google, put me on page one, but also don't scrape my stuff for AI. And it created this massive conflict of, you've got the giant company of Google that they're going to do what they want to do. And if we try and stop the other AI companies, well, you're just handing them the keys to just own that side too. So it's creating conflicts.
I wonder if, like, from a perspective of they're crawling everything, is there a state that you're like, it's too much data? Like, I've seen, because I've been at companies we have a data lake, and you're like, awesome, and you're like, this is a data ocean, and you kind of get to almost analysis paralysis. And like you said, there's probably really smart people there, but at some point, is it I'm trying to take in so much that it's so much harder to filter out the noise. And to your point, it creates gates, especially when you're talking about 90% of the internet at that point. And I think the bigger challenge is, there's the competition to be on page one of Google when it's 90% of the internet is massive. Like, that's your company's entire search financial metrics we have to rank really well on Google. Otherwise nobody will find us, because it's not like, hey, we rank well on Bing. And you're like, did that person accidentally not know they were using Bing? It's not like you do a search on Bing and you're like, oh shit, this is not Google. I better go and just rerun the same search on Google. Right. Yeah. So like, is it less like a marketing, and it's just more, hey, there's one place that you have to be if you want to have relevance. And so now, every recipe has to be a historical novel. Otherwise Google's like, I don't know how to make bread from this. It's just a recipe, where a person's like, I'm going to tell you how we made bread back when, civilization was founded. And Google's like, this is exactly what people are looking for. But that's the hack. And now you got to do it if you want to rank for 90% of the people.
Yeah. And the other 10% are really going to follow suit, because Google's the expectation. So it seems like Bing and DuckDuckGo and all of the other ones need to emulate Google to some degree to be successful, which you question if that's stopping any type of innovation. Like, is there another way to do search that we'll never see because no one will ever use it?
It's interesting. I don't know if you ever know, was it Kagi, which is the one you pay for? I did that. Yeah, it's a subscription. And I think the other piece of this, which is like how integrated it is, because Kagi, you got to go to the website to kind of search, where like on my phone I just go to the address bar and I'm like, what time does the pharmacy close, and it just goes and searches for me. I don't have to think. Like, search is so it's just a natural extension of our entire existence now, that anything you want to know, you just type into a magic box and there's an answer. Right? That the pay is sort of a weird gate to put in front of it, because you have to take like this extra step of, let me go sign into my paid account.
Yeah. I mean, your original question was, is Google worse now? And for me, if you're just finding information, if you're being professional, if you're looking for data, if you want it to be useful, I don't think it's worse. I think it's doing a better job at being useful for day-to-day life. As you said, is the pharmacy open? It does a much better job today than it did. Now, the fun factor, like, I'm not going to Google to explore the internet or to have a good time or to see what pops up. It is purely a useful tool at this point. Whereas in the past, I think you would have stumbled on pages that you're like, this is cool. Let me bookmark this for later, or let me go down a rabbit hole for hours. Now you're looking at Reddit and Wikipedia and other sites for that type of rabbit hole experience. It's better, but it's also worse. It all depends what you want.
I think, I would argue that I would say, it's better. I would say, though, that from a purely research perspective, which I don't think the library is faster. I don't think I can get those same numbers. But, I mean, if I sit down to actually do research now, I find it challenging to find good stuff. And I think a lot of that has to do with as soon as you're getting into deeper level data of that information, where I want the long article, I want the long read that has all that rich data and information. It's filled with people that are just taking advantage of, or that are playing the game, that are playing the statistics game, the SEO game, all that stuff. So, it's weird is like that's actually forced me into like AI, and then you can at least say list your sources to try to go and read through it. But I feel like you can get better, deeper stuff just because Google in and of itself as a search platform is not.
Yeah.
To your point, day to day, awesome. Deep, not so great.
AI is also going to search oftentimes in the background. It's like, I'll just do a search for this. So it's using the same tools. And you're right. There's that optimal content length for SEO purposes where it can't be too short, but you really can't get in the weeds either, because it's got to be that nice, perfect piece where it's not a fluff piece, but it's also it's not a white paper. And so it's making it harder to find those really in-depth articles, which is a shame. I'm sure they're still out there, but I don't know how to find them.
I miss the guy that was like, I'm going to start a website today I'm going to go buy 7 lawnmowers and compare them and go into some of the weirdest metrics this person has ever seen, right? And just make a website and you're like, lawnmower comparison, and it's like lawnmowerdad.com, and you're like, this is the statistic. Like, no analyst is going to be like, ability to hold can while mowing, right? And you're like, but that's an important factor. Like, I get thirsty out there. I want to know, is my hand, am I doing this one-armed, or am I able to put it, and but like, those are the fascinating pieces of this that I think are just,
which maybe we're not, maybe we're just not using it correctly, because YouTube is the number 2 search engine in the world, which is also owned by Google. And you can find that stuff on YouTube. I mean, I've definitely watched an hour-long video on whether dishwasher pods are better than powder. And like,
tastier,
I don't even want to do the
tastier.
dishes, but I watched that video. So it exists, and I'm finding it in other places. So why is it so hard to find on the google.com homepage?
Yeah, dishwasher powder tastes terrible compared to a Tide Pod. Just that's your metric. What's the most delicious dishwasher detergent? dishwasherjames.com.
It wasn't a taste test, but I feel like we have a new series coming.
Yeah.
Dishwasher pod taste test.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe some of this is preference, and I know we have we could probably do a whole topic just on that, but I hate video content. I can read so much faster, and so like reading for me is such a better mechanism that I don't like the video format. And so for me, it becomes challenging because like I search and Google's like, here's 19 videos showing you exactly what you can do or how to do this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, where's the written article? And it's and maybe James, maybe the problem is me. But I'm not going to admit that because,
No, I think you stumbled on intent of, you're starting at Google, you're looking for the written content because you're trying to be productive. And I'm stumbling on the interesting YouTube videos because I'm trying to kill time. I'm not actually being productive. I just want to watch something and kind of kick back. So different formats for different purposes, different search engines for different purposes. And, it used to just be one because the internet was smaller. It used to just be search, but now you need to go to different places. Stumbled on the answer, which is, people are just too productive on the internet today. It's no longer a playground. It's actually for real work.
Yeah.
That's where we went wrong.
And there's too much stuff. We let anybody, we're like, anybody can make content on the internet. And we're like, this is awesome. And now we're like, anybody can make content on the internet. And we're like, but should everybody do that? Or like, should we?
Yeah. Please stop.
Yeah. Please stop. Yeah.
We were talking about the nerdy people that used to know how to hook up to the internet. Now that it's so easy, please stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Don't make another podcast.
Yeah. That would be ridiculous.
That would be ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's nostalgia. I remember an earlier, simpler time.
Yeah. Does that lead into our next topic of earlier, simpler times?
Yeah, security vulnerability that was like rocked everybody's world last week, which is has to do with running JavaScript on the server, which is not a simpler time as it used to be. JavaScript
Yes.
was a browser thing, which we got
There's
into in the first episode.
one breach, and then immediately after they found a second one. So once we were all done fixing the first one, got to do it again.
So just I think the high level of it, they had the server components for React, which was running it on the server, and they found that you could trick the code on the server to expose the server secrets and variables. It just hit Next.js, which is sort of the big one out there that everybody's using. So obviously a lot of people were scrambling. But go ahead.
I don't know. You said
this.
Next.js is the big one, and you're right. It's become the de facto standard for websites at this point, where everything is being built in Next.js, which is, I mean, that's one of my personal pet peeves, is having everything be a single page application and forgetting what websites are. I see the new developers writing posts saying, should I do a single page application or a multi-page application? And I'm just screaming in my head, just make a website.
And I think, but like so some of this is like they were talking about challenges and why these types of things happen and whatnot. And I think when Node came about, one of the interesting things is you had a bunch of front end JavaScript guys that were like, you can write JavaScript on a server. And they were like, awesome. Like, this is everything I've ever wanted to do, right? Like, now my JavaScript can run, can do all the stuff that I had to talk to Java developers to make happen. I can just go write it myself in JavaScript, right? But you got a lot of weird like memory leaks and performance problems and and it's because a lot of the JavaScript stuff, as soon as you went to a new page, you started with a fresh canvas of memory and performance. Right. And it was just, if something bad happens, you just reloaded the page and it fixed itself. And now you're on a server and that doesn't happen. And we got to bounce the server we're going to write a job that restarts the server every day at 12:01 a.m. because we don't know what's going on, but the memory is gone.
I mean, it probably doesn't help that the first iteration of JavaScript on the server that was really big was the AWS Lambda, right? Because they adopted Node.js. And that was ephemeral. It would just restart itself every execution. So it still hid all of those memory leaks and other major issues because they're like, don't worry about it. We'll just start a new one. It'll just, it'll be fresh.
I remember CoffeeScript was like, they were trying to like fix that. They're like, look, we wrote CoffeeScript for the server in Node so that way you don't have to learn JavaScript. And we're like, okay, this isn't, but if you think about where we are, and that was kind of the thing is like, how did this stuff happen? And it's like, well, like there's a lot. Next.js is doing a lot under the hood. And that gets into like, is abstraction and like actually a problem? I mean, it enables stuff, but you don't know what's going on under the hood. You're not necessarily training people to be server developers and UI developers and the security and problems with both as much as, hey, cool, you can write code in a browser, go write one on the server and see what happens.
Yeah, I guess the question is, do you have to know what's happening in this layer of abstraction and how deep do you need to go? Because I've definitely encountered developers that can write with Next.js. They went to boot camp, they can write React. But if you ask them how the API calls are happening in the background, they have no idea. If you ask them which one's running on the server, which one's running on the client, they give you kind of a glazed look because they don't understand the separation of the two. And do they need to? Or is it abstracting it well enough that they can just write React and forget about it?
Yeah, and I think the abstraction goes like full stack. And I don't actually, I'm full stack and that Next.js is on front end and back end. So yes, but it's also, to your point, what's going on the server. It's like, oh, server components. And it's like, no. Like what's happening in the execution? And I think what was interesting is going back, like when you had a more of a clear delineation between front end and back end. And you had front end guys that they didn't know about like Java threads and what the JVM and all that is doing, and you had Java guys that are like, I don't know how this CSS stuff works at all, right? And you know, it was very delineated, and it's less like that, but it still gives this problem of I have no idea what's actually executing, or is there a security issue, or those challenges.
Yeah, and I think that's the benefit of being older is I got to see all the steps, and I went to university, so starting with assembly and then C and C++ and all the abstraction layers I got to see along the way. And first job was self-hosting on our own hardware well before the cloud. So you got to see what that looked like, and then cloud computing and then containerization. So I got to see every abstraction layer as it got layered on, but someone starting today, they're not going to catch up with all of that, especially not with a short program or a boot camp or anything like that. They're just going to jump right into, I want to be productive. I want to start building things that people are going to use. So how much do they have to learn besides just the tools of today?
Yeah, and I think like that's it's almost like how do you put them into a support situation to fill in those missing pieces? It's hard for sure, especially so I did like a personal kind of project, and I found out like create React app is deprecated. They're like, go use Next.js. All right. But I will say, like, it got me up and running fairly quick, and layer on the Copilot, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, something that probably would have took me a week or so, you can kind of knock out in a day or two on the weekend. And so that, like, the abstraction piece is neat, but there is the piece where something wasn't working, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, this is something that's happening on the server. How do I debug it? And just console log it, spit it into my terminal. Like, I just want to see what the actual raw output is here, and being able to kind of go from there. Yeah.
That's the thing with Magic, right? Is it feels so impressive when it works, and you're like, this is going to save me so much time. And then the minute you go out of bounds or something doesn't work, you hate on the magic. You're like, why can't it just be simple? Why can't it just be built from the ground up? So it's a pro and con. Everyone falls on a different side of that pro and con.
I think the thing with React that blows my mind, though, is, React has some lasting power, because like the knock against, JavaScript developers in the past was always like, shiny object syndrome. They picked a library and it changed in a year. And React has been around for a long time in terms of JavaScript longevity. But it's also, it's also dominant. Like, a lot of places aren't asking for JavaScript developers, or that. They're like, I want React guys. You get some pockets of like Angular, and I know Astro's kind of making its way, but it's all real heavy nowadays, just React, which isn't, you have that abstraction. So it's like, okay, if you know Next.js, you can't do Next.js if you don't know React. You should have some idea of JavaScript to understand React, and then throw TypeScript in there. And you're so far away from just like vanilla JavaScript that,
Well, I mean, you mentioned React, or you mentioned Astro.js, and I think it's a very interesting approach, and it's kind of a pushback against React, even though you can use React and Astro. Next.js looks at React and says, okay, it's all running in the browser because you have that single page application. And they said, okay, let's layer on the server side stuff. Let's make it server rendered. Let's make some server paths and kind of add all of that server expectation that people have for a website that you don't have in a traditional SPA. And Astro took the complete opposite side. They're like, nah, everything's server rendered. It's back like the good old PHP ASP days. We're just going to run on the server, but we're going to let you have your islands so that you can have React stuff on the website itself for those little bits of interactivity. And it feels very old school. It feels back when you were building server side stuff with a little bit of jQuery thrown in here and there to make it work. And I wonder, is that the new wave where people realize that websites are oftentimes better than an SPA, and we're going to see a lot more server side by default and only have that client JavaScript where needed?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting into like bandwidth questions. Like part of the big thing about having the SPA was like, oh, it's so fast, but with caching and all these other stuff, it's you know,
If
hey,
if you
yeah,
go to the same site over and over again, like Gmail or YouTube, and you load it up once and it works great, I can never imagine having Wikipedia as an SPA because you go to one page and then you're done, right? You're like in and
yeah,
out.
yeah. Well, it's content heavy. I mean, that's the thing. Like content, we go back to like content versus interactivity, and but I think like Astro is the same problem. It's the abstraction, right? We're getting into the React security vulnerability is abstraction a problem, and it goes into we're still rendering, you know,
Mhm.
out layers and layers, and I think ultimately, I think more of the problem is it's a demand, right? I want React developers, so people are going to learn React. And I forget the saying, but it's like it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert at something like that. You're not going to get that that takes time, which is fine. I mean, I remember back in the day, someone's like, what's the best way to learn CSS? And I was just like, use a lot of CSS because you're going to find all the weird tricks and things and properties and I go, and it sounds cheesy, but I'm like, the only way to learn CSS really well is to just use it a lot and you just get the patterns and how to do things. I go, there's no shortcut to that one. It's just hours that you got to put in learning how to build stuff. And I think some of the abstraction is good because it cuts some of those hours. Tailwind is sort of abstracting away the CSS, but you do run into the problems then of, I think you're going to have like these few people that have the deep knowledge and a bunch of shallow knowledge, and you got to make sure that they're getting that deep knowledge, or you're just, hey, a problem arose, and you're like, I don't know what this is doing beyond just the surface level. And I think that's more of the issue.
You mentioned that the internet has gotten too big. I think the same thing has happened to web development. There was a time when you could learn all of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and they've all gotten too big. They're all too complicated. And so you really have to start to specialize which one you're going to focus on. And is 10,000 hours still enough to learn all three? I don't know that it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
you could.
That's the magic of React is like you could actually you couldn't even put 10,000 hours into like Knockout, right? Like React's been long enough, you can put those kind of hours into it.
Fair enough. Yeah, you certainly can. It's been around.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's as much as I don't want to get like, two old men yell at cloud type of scenario here.
Oh, it's too late. Too late. We're definitely there.
Yeah. But I don't know. I do say there is something magical to it in that I was expecting to spend a lot of time building this personal project, and how quickly things spun together was fascinating for me. Like you said, the magic's kind of cool, but then I think there's like another element to the magic. Having the previous knowledge of, oh wow, this took forever. You don't know something is a shortcut until somebody's like, we used to have to take the long way.
Yeah, until someone comes in and says, back in my day, kids got off my lawn. Absolutely. Yeah, we're definitely at the old man yells at cloud territory of this podcast. So maybe we move on to the would you rather.
So would you rather, and these are the ones, so going back to our paid ones. So would you rather pay the monthly subscription for a search engine that didn't serve ads, or deal with ads and sponsored content, but be able to search for free?
I mean, how much are you paying for this monthly subscription?
I think I remember correctly, it wasn't the reason I didn't want to use it wasn't a money problem. Like it was a reasonable subscription fee. I don't remember the exact amount. I could have done research, but I'm sure if you ask Google, it would summarize it for you for free.
I do remember there was a time where it came out on how much Google makes per user and how much they would have to charge for a monthly subscription. And it was much, much higher than anyone ever would have expected. I don't remember the exact number, but I want to say it was like over $100 per user per month. And it seemed obscene. They're very good at extracting money out of their users. So it all comes down to price. I think at the hundreds of dollars, I'm going to take the free search. I'll figure it out. I'll avoid the
Yeah.
ads.
I would say though, so I mean, I would say the free. And I think the reason is I probably underestimate how much I went through like my search history once to try to find something. And it was just like, I searched for a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. Like, and ridiculous stuff. It's just why it's free. There's no commodity. I can type as many things into that bar as I want.
I'm trying it.
But it does bring up like an interesting, because it kind of feels like maybe the internet is relatively free, right?
Mhm.
But a lot of stuff isn't. It's your data. Now there's this big drawback about who owns your data. And it's kind of like, to your point, like how much do you want to pay to own your data? Because your data is actually fairly valuable. And, you know, would
Yeah.
people actually, like, would you pay for a social media service? Would you pay for search? Would you pay for Gmail? If, and the
I think I'm
cost
the
of your
wrong
data.
person for this discussion because everything's ad supported and I'm a leech. I have my pie hole set up that's blocking at the DNS side. I have my ad blockers in the browser. And when I go to hotels and search the internet, I'm like, wow, the internet is a heinous place when you don't have all of this set up. So
Yeah.
if I had to use the unfiltered internet, like if I had to pull off my ad blocker condoms and just use it the way it is, I might be much more willing to pay. But having all of these layers of protection between me and what's actually out there, it's
Yeah.
harder to want to pull out the wallet.
Yeah, I guess like, and I'm gonna be like the actual Google ads on Google, that's pretty fine. Like
Yeah.
they're annoying, they're obnoxious, but like the only time I run into them is if I'm like asking real legitimate questions, right? Not what time does the pharmacy close, or what is the name of the actor in this movie? The stuff that it's like I actually just want Google to answer. I don't want to go search for. But to me, the part, like the ad part, and I know we like left from the would you rather, is like you go to the recipe site, and I have Brave, the browser, installed, and I will find what I'm looking for in Google and then copy that address into Brave to be able to actually use the page, because it's like just everywhere ads and videos, and it's like 9 videos on a page, and you're like, how can you even focus on reading this content, right? So, but the other piece of that is those are they're all sponsored by Google ads.
Yeah.
They're just not on Google's homepage.
I mean, you mentioned the Google ads aren't bad. It cracks me up because I have the pie hole, so it affects everyone in the house. And my wife gets so angry. She goes, "Why do none of the links work?" And I'm like, "Stop clicking on the ads because I can't filter them out of Google at the DNS level because it's coming with the rest of the page. But when you click on it, I block that link."
Yeah.
So you can see the products. You just can't click on it to buy the products. And I'm like, you just got to stop clicking on the ads and then you can go shopping again. So this is an argument we have back and forth on whether, shopping should be allowed in the household or whether we're going to keep blocking ads.
It feels like you just blocked e-commerce. You're like, it's great. We're saving so much money because we can't buy anything. You like a product? Just look at it. Too bad. Can't use it. Can't get to it.
Yep, you can't buy it. You got to know what website it's on and type it in manually.
Yeah.
Little friction's not a bad thing, especially when it comes to shopping.
Here's what I did. I built a site and it categorizes the internet for you. So if you're looking for clothes, you type in and here's 400 sites about clothes that you can use.
Yeah, you just say fashion and there's your Yahoo category. I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think free just because how easy and often, and like I said, the actual search ads I don't think are as bad as like the Google sponsored ones when you go to a page and you're like, all right, you are maximizing this number 2 ranking when I click through.
All right, let's roll to the next one, which is also Google related. Would you rather have 2005 Google, so no Gmail, no Android, no calendar, just base Google, or 2025 Google as it is today?
And I think that's the whole, like, going back to like the wow of how good it was at finding stuff versus today, which, is a lot of not so much. Finding stuff is surfacing the answers or all that, and when you have to go find it's hard. But you miss out on, the YouTube and Gmail and all the free things that they're also using to serve you ads. But, you know,
Yeah. So which one are you going to pick?
this is a hard one because, like, Google is easy and great for me until I actually need it to pull through, and then it just fails miserably. It's just, it's like I needed you to be there for me this time, it's like, and
Didn't
and you
work.
weren't, and you were not.
I mean, for me, it's
I
easier because I love YouTube. I'm one of those weird people that watches a lot of YouTube. Amusingly, one of the major topics on YouTube is how to de-Google your life, where they talk about how to remove Google off of everything. And it's always a challenge. They pull it off. You know, they come up with great services, open source, other things. They use Bing or DuckDuckGo, but they're never happy in the end, and they always go back to Google, which just shows how good it actually does at indexing everything from the internet to your data to the services it provides, mostly for free. So for me, yeah, I'm going to go with modern day Google, even though I feel dirty saying it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Gmail's pretty easy and it works across devices, and I think like I said, they've made it very integral. It's hard to de-Google your life, right? It reminds me, I tried to do like the zero, like trying to figure out like how to not use plastics until you realize that you're like, okay, now it's just like, how can I minimize? Because
Yeah.
it's like you can't buy ice cream because the container is lined with plastic, and you can only buy cereal that comes from a dispenser and you're just like, whoa, oh, and your prescription bottle and this, and you're like, there's zero way that you can do this. And I think that would, to your point, is it sounds like it's the same thing with Google. It's like if you can achieve it, you're not going to have you're not going to be having a good time. And you're probably miserable at parties too, because it's like, hey, guess what my crowning achievement is? And you're like, that sucks.
I mean, if you're going to put that much effort in, you got to brag a little bit.
Yeah, I guess. I just, to your point, I do think, yeah, I do think it's kind of like absolutely jammed in there, and it's, good for them, I guess. It would be nice to maybe see some, I mean, Vimeo, I guess, to YouTube. I know a lot of companies use that over it because you get more control, but it would be nice to maybe see some options.
I mean, antitrust came in on Microsoft, and I feel like that paved the way for the big players now of Facebook, Amazon, Google. Because let's be honest, Microsoft would own all of that if they were allowed to. They would just be dominating every field. So you do have to wonder at what point are we going to get the same thing with the other big players, where they break it up and give us more offerings, and we're using the same thing. It just has a different logo attached to it. So we'll see. We'll see what the future brings, or if they just keep building their data moat and dominate all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you want to do the last one?
Let's go.
Would you rather work on a node project with one large external dependency and all the rest is your code, or many small external dependencies to kind of go like fast and bringing them all together?
I mean, that brings back the debate of Node, which has lots of small dependencies. That tends to be how it works with NPM packages. I used to do C# development, and there you'd have larger dependencies or packages you would buy. So you'd actually buy like a UI kit and use that across everything because that was your package. And it's a tough one because when you bought things, you had someone to go and strangle when things went wrong and say, hey, there's a bug, and you're actually paying someone so they'll respond to your bug report. But there was a lot less out there that you could consume and throw into your development. So you ended up writing a lot more by hand. I think going the Node approach of the NPM packages, nice, small, and lots of them, even though it's a bigger surface area, that's where I'm going to go. You just have so many packages that do so many things. No matter what I'm looking for, it almost always exists.
I would prefer like the one large, and I know, to your point, like you have that really big dependency, but the other piece of that is it's just like, I went and installed something that was, I thought was like one minor thing, and it's like 9 packages added. And you're like, why did you need 9 packages for
Only
that?
9? That's low numbers.
It was like a console logger thing, and I was like, okay, well, we didn't need, but like that's the point. It's like there gets to that piece where it's so abstracted at so many layers that the package manager doesn't even know what the other packages are doing. It's like you go to a car, you buy a car, and they're like, look, the engine runs. You're like, well, how does the engine run? And Toyota's like, I don't know. That's somebody else. Like, we just plug the gasoline into it and it goes, you know. And I think you get to some piece of that, and I think that's why you get some of these abstractions. Great, but maybe it's too abstract, too much Picasso.
You do get crazy things when you start applying updates, and when different packages have different dependencies on the same package with different versions, and you realize you have the same package installed like 10, 12, 15 times, just slightly different version numbers in order to hit all the dependencies in the tree. And so I get what you're saying, but when you're just having one big package, it's going to do one thing. It's going to be focused, and you're going to write the rest of it. I'd rather just, Lego blocks, just throw them all together, put them all in place, and boom, it's like magic. It just works until it doesn't.
To be fair, the multiple version thing existed in like the jQuery days, where you're like, why are we loading jQuery 4 times? Yeah. And you're like, yeah. So, I mean, that's not new with JavaScript.
I do wonder if it goes deeper to our personalities, though, where I look at you with your Mac, your Apple headset, you've consolidated. You're like, can I have one person give me all the things? And I could never go down that route with my desktop and my Sony headphones. And I'm like, every little brand, I'm just going to put all these little pieces together to make a desk setup and hope that they work. And sometimes they don't, because you plug things in and they break.
And then, you get a new monitor, and the settings aren't where they are supposed to be, and
yeah. And do you want to geek out on that, or do you just want it to work as one big thing? So maybe there's a deeper personality trait here that we're touching on.
Yeah, it's that's the thing. Until something frustrates me, and then I'm just gonna go full nuclear, which is generally what happens. I was all in on Android until like the Bluetooth wasn't working on one of it, and like I get in my car and I listen to music. Like I cannot drive in silence because I'm with my thoughts, and that's not great. So I'm like, I need to blast music, and then Bluetooth wasn't working, and I was like, I am done going to Apple.
You just threw out your Android phone and went full Apple.
Yeah, that was the last straw where I was like, this is too frustrating. I'm not going to do this anymore. Between that and then YouTube Music, we can't figure out Shuffle. Those are the two things.
Shuffle's so hard.
Shuffle's hard. We've never solved it as a species.
I mean, we did, but we forgot how.
Right. It was lost. It's like the Roman cement, where they're like, we have no idea how they made this.
Yeah. At one point, they put things in a random order, and they just played it, and we just don't understand. So here's the same 5 songs over and over again. Enjoy.
Yeah. Like this. Or we just don't trust it. We're like, there's no way this algorithm's random because it's too coincidental. Yeah, some magic person is making this for me.
All you need.
Audio John works at Spotify, and he's putting the songs in order just to meet my vibe today.
The theme of the episode is the magic gremlins that make things work in the background.
It's too much shit on the internet, James.
Too much shit. So let's close this one up and publish more shit, because if you like these episodes, you can find them on Spotify. We have Gremlin shuffling it for you. Find it on YouTube and all the other places, because the internet needs more shit. So hit the subscribe. We have 1 subscriber so far. Let's go for more.
I thought we had 3.
Oh, see? It's growing already in numbers. Thank you, listeners.
And I do need to issue a correction from last week that my mom does, in fact, listen to podcasts. But she didn't follow us, I don't think. All right.
It's telling us something.
See you in a couple of weeks.
Till next time. Thank you.